didn't even check the land records and updated them. So now different studies made by Medha Patkar and her team made her realize that, or made them realize that the officials had blatantly overlooked the problems that that the project would have caused after its completion. So now the implications and the people involved in the movement. So there were a number of groups, Gujarat-based, Madhya Pradesh-based, and Maharashtra-based. These three groups came together and started, and their motto was either fair rehabilitation plan, or some were vehemently against the construction of dams. Now they wanted an alternative structure of development, and they also wanted the World Bank, which was the financing agency of the of the project, to take accountability. Several fast hunger strikes, rallies took place. Like Medha Patkar was involved in it. She had also had to go to jail and organize a number of satyagrahas to fight for their cause.
I'm sorry to intrude, Soham. Your slides are probably not changing.
Okay, it isn't changing. I see. Uh, Wait a minute, let me. Is it visible now? Is it
Yes,
changing now?
yeah, they're changing now.
Okay, sorry. Like, should I continue from where I?
Yes, continue. Don't start from the beginning.
Okay. So yeah, so the benefit, like the government instruction was like the government saying was that the benefits would substantially outweigh the costs of immediate human affection and like human activities affection, and like the government instruction was that the benefits of this project would substantially outweigh the cost of environmental disruption and the way in which the people living in the region would be affected. But So the people who are involved in this Andolan were like Medha Patkar, and another very popular person was Baba Amte, like who also wrote a book on this Andolan. And the celebrities that were involved were Arundhati Roy, Amir Khan, and later the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar also extended his support in a rally. Some of the popular slogans that this Andolan used was "Koi nahi hatega, bandh nahi banega," which means no one will move and the dam won't be constructed. So this was one of the popular slogans. Now achievements coming to their protest their protest in a non-violence manner fetched them the Right Livelihood Award. And this Narmada Bachao Andolan was effective in its multiple strategies at the executive, legislative, and judicial level to fight against the construction of dams and for the rehabilitation and resettlement of the people. Now, some of the events that were a consequence of this Andolan were the exit of World Bank from the project in 1993, a halt of the Sardar Sarovar Dam construction for a quite number of years, and the withdrawal of foreign investors from the Maheshwar Dam. So, yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Next one.
Next is S.N. Ramanathan.
Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. Good morning, all. I'm S.N. Ramanathan. I'm here with my friend Sumant Naidu to present our topic, polluting the source of life. Water is the most important source of life. Water is the natural resource which is vital for both plants and animals. It is made up of oxygen and hydrogen. Earth's surface is covered with water about 3/4 in ratio. Here we will see about importance of water. Water is important to all living organisms for maintaining the metabolic activities and daily activities. Water is important to animals. it is needed for regulation of body temperature, growth, digestion, reproduction, metabolism, and exertion. Water is an universal solvent. Now, here we'll see what is the water pollution. Water pollution is defined as contamination of water bodies. It is caused when water bodies such as rivers, lakes, oceans, groundwaters, and aquifers get contaminated with industrial and agricultural effluents.
Yeah, as Ramanathan, you just I mean, highlight on the key things, and I want the original ideas, not a copy pasted, presentation. This is not something that I love very much. I mean, is something which I would not very much appreciate to be included in the book. This is just cut and paste. What is there in it? Have you attended environmental humanities class? How many classes have you attended? Because if you would have attended the classes, it should not be like this. In any case, I have certain comments for this entire group presentation as well, so that I'll make, but I don't know when I'll have the time. But is there anything that you have prepared by your own illustration, stories? I mean, things that students between or students of class 4 and 5 will enjoy. This is what is this? This is something which is available, just in the in Google. So where are your efforts? This is how I have taught water pollution.
Uh,
So how many classes have you attended?
Ma'am, I have attended most of the classes, ma'am.
Okay, then let's spend. I'll give you 2 minutes because we are really running out of time. So all of you, I'll also request to wrap up very fast and just present the key things which you have developed by yourself. Right. This is not something that is expected.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Take 2 more minutes and present something original, please. This is something which is all these things are very much available in the internet. Present something which is not available in the internet, or yes, it's available in the internet. I can definitely understand that, but definitely it has to be your own. So there is, I
Yeah.
don't see any creative, thinking or any creativity going into this kind of slides. So I'll give you just 2 minutes and we'll present the original ideas and then wrap it up.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we have made slides on this, and at last we have a task, ma'am.
Yeah, so we present that part only.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Ma'am, I'll just read out the topics, ma'am.
Yeah.
Here we have mentioned about sources of water pollution. First one is plastic pollution, and plastic waste can survive more than 400 years, so it does not decompose very easily. Then oil pollution. Oil is the major problem. Huge quantity of oil spilled at one location, and it's catastrophic for marine wildlife. And pollution due to factories. Factories release a lot of waste directly into nearby water bodies. Each year, the world generates about 5 to 10 billion tons of industrial waste, and much of which it is directly pumped into rivers, oceans, and other waterways. From here, my friend Sumant will continue the presentation.
Good morning, ma'am. Now I'm going to just show some other causes of water pollution and explain the assignments and tasks that are created, keeping in mind for the class grade 4 and 5 students. So let me continue, ma'am. So nearly our earth has billions of people living on it, and the waste is generated by them. And this is a very big problem for all the humanity, and many countries have directly releasing the sewage into the main water bodies, which leads to diseases like diarrhea and cholera. And the next cause is household waste, where which is the waste produced in our daily house usages. So almost every person on this planet is adding many pollutants to the water bodies present in our planet, like for example washing utensils, clothes, and cleaning animals in rivers such as. and also using detergent and soaps. And now coming to the most toxic way of polluting water, which is pollution from heavy metal and chemicals. Mostly these pollution from heavy metals such as lead, cadmium, mercury are the main reasons for this kind of pollution. Lead is most commonly found in gasoline, and many countries have actually banned mercury and cadmium, but there are still some countries using these. And the main sources for this heavy metal pollution are leather training, e-waste, paints, and fuel combustion, etc. And now the effects of water pollution. Water pollution affects the life of aquatic animals in a very drastic way. It affects their metabolism, behavior, and removes the completely damages the ecosystem itself, and it also disrupts the food chain, which is a threat to the whole species on the planet. And poor drinking water treatment and unfit water is also very dangerous, as it can cause infectious diseases such as cholera, etc. And now we have created certain assignments and tasks so that one can develop their understanding and what they have learned in this. Initially, the section is a test your knowledge section, which is just for testing the theoretical part they have learned so far. And these are the questions: how water pollution is affecting marine life, and suggest some ways to prevent the water pollution from factories. And a practical task is added, like visit a lake in an urban area and a water body in a forest area, and collect the samples from both the water bodies. Do you find any differences in the appearances of water? If yes, what do you think are the reasons for distinct appearances? Uh, so, uh, so by doing this task, one can know how the purest form of water should be, and how we are polluting that water for our selfish usages. And going to the next slide, this is a fun task, uh, which is write some slogans for prevention of water pollution, because one can judge the emotional connection by looking at the phrasing of the slogans and the words they have used. So we can assess how emotionally they are attached to the element and nature. So this task is designed for that purpose. And we have created one more take-home assignment. That is, with the use of any external resources like internet, or try to know what is the water pollution index and collect the data of water pollution index of water in various cities and towns. So this is to make one familiar with some scientific terms related to water and water pollution, and get them to know the reality of how the situation of water is in the current situation in cities and towns, so that one can get the complete idea of it. So finally, I want to conclude this by saying to one should get the complete awareness of water, which is the driving force of nature and also an undeniable part of nature. Thank you.
Mihir is next, I believe.
Yes, Mihir, 5 minutes maximum. We're still left with 4 presentations.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Let's start now. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Mihir, and today I would like to give a small presentation, which will be slightly different, as I'll be discussing some in-depth concepts in the context of the Chipko movement and how society and politics shape our environment. So, here's a glimpse of the pages I prepared for the book, and so I'll start. So, with a very brief overview of what the Chipko movement was. So, the Chipko movement was a socio-ecological movement undertaken by the rural communities of the Chamoli district of present-day Uttarakhand. The villagers of Chamoli were denied access to the forest resources, something they had relied on for centuries. So after a sports boats manufacturing company was awarded the contract to clear hundreds of trees in the pristine parts of Chamoli, the villagers, mostly women, decided to take matters into their own hands and embrace the trees, preventing the lumbermen from cutting them down. The movement was a great success and prompted the state government to revoke the contract and reinstate the rights of the local of access to the forest. The then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi enforced a 15-year ban on commercial logging in the region in response to the pleas from the villagers led by the Gandhian Chandi Prasad Bhatt and Sundarlal Bahu. So here is a brief timeline of the movement. It started with the Rasholi Gram Swaraj Sangh founded by Chandi Prasad Bhatt and ended with Sundarlal Bahu making the movement national. So one of the key concepts in the context of this movement were political apathy and colonial hangover. The events leading up to the Chipko movement are classical examples of political apathy. The policymakers were unaware and apathetic towards the effects their decisions will have on the lives of the people who solely dependent on the forest for their survival. While the upper level administration is often held responsible for overlooking the plight of the marginalized, it is often the lower level authorities that come into direct confrontation with these locals. Despite having a better understanding of the dynamics of the local community and the forest resources, they chose to overlook this and instead barred the locals from entering the forest. Now, the roots of this attitude can be traced to colonial era practices. The British administration had little, if any, concern regarding the well-being of the locals, especially the marginalized communities. They viewed the natural resources of our country as an infinite pool of riches which they plundered without any thought about sustainability. The colonial era environmental laws were often directed towards stripping the locals of any rights to the natural resources that had provided them sustenance for centuries, and declaring these resources as the sole property of the colonial government. While the Britishers were driven out of the country, their laws and practices have survived. Even today, lots of environmental laws exist in the original form, as drafted by the British. While these laws allowed the central and state governments more control over the natural resources, they prevented the local communities from being the stakeholders in the very resources that had sustained them for centuries. Now, another key concept is social mobilization and environmental conservation. The Chipko movement was a watershed moment in the history of eco-development struggles in the region and around the world. A small group of villagers, without any political backing, were able to take on authorities and a large corporation and force them to back down, all through non-violent and Gandhian means. Unlike the bourgeois socio-ecological movements in the West, the driving force behind the Chipko movement was the deep-rooted respect and codependence of the local rural communities and the forests they wanted to protect with their lives. This movement was also one of the first and most important eco-feminist movements. While many of the leaders were men, women formed the backbone of the movement. The economy of the region is mostly agrarian, and thus women were directly affected by the deforestation. Moreover, the forest contractors often bribed the men of the villages with alcohol, thus leaving the women to spearhead the movement. Thank you.
Yes, next presenter.
Shiv Shankar will go next.
Yes, yes. Is my screen visible for all?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, what I have planned is a political ecology, a crossword. Excuse me, am I audible to all?
Yes, Shiv Shankar.
Yes, you are audible.
One second.
We cannot hear you. Yeah.
Which I am going to submit for the magazine. For the magazine. So here are the questions. So there are in total there are 8 questions, and what I am planning is each of these questions should give the context of how a society and the political background of the society affects the nature and vice versa. So in all these in 8 of these questions, they can be treated as maybe a small case studies of 8, like how the society affected environment, or the evolution of the environment affected the societies in several regions of the world. So the main part of my presentation is these 8, like the parts, several parts of the world in which the society and environment, like how they evolve with each other. So the first case study, the first case I am describing here is that of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Okay, so we all know how the Chernobyl. We all know the context, right? So that was really unfortunate. Back in 1984, Chernobyl nuclear plant. Like there was a nuclear disaster, and how in this presentation I am showing you how it affected the water bodies nearby. So it was, we all know, it was in the Ukraine, the nation of Ukraine. The Pripyat river in the Ukraine was really contaminated with the nuclear disaster. The water used by almost 2.4 million residents of Kyiv city, which is the capital of Ukraine, was affected with this. Also, it was studies after maybe 2-3 years after the disaster, showing that bioaccumulation of radioactivity, that's the accumulation of several radioactive elements, including radiocesium, radioiodine, etc., was detected in several all over the marine life all over the Europe in different levels. The fortunate part in this disaster was at least groundwater was not contaminated, so that the whole population living there at least could rely on the groundwater. So the second one is the case in Syria. At least some of us must have remembered, maybe 8 years before or something, there was the political atmosphere of Syria was really bad. The president of Syria back then was there was a huge majority in the country itself who wanted him to resign, and even IS was, Islamic State was also doing their own part in making the chaos in the political atmosphere. So I am showing you how it affected the environment of the country. So basically, we can divide it into 2 parts. The western parts of Syria was a part in which there was some forest there. So it was a green part of the nation. So in order to find various militant groups and destroy their hideouts, the government themselves run several programs for deforestation. This increased landslide risk, and several several people who had livelihoods which depended on the forest. Also, in the eastern parts of the nation, the story was different. Earlier, most of the eastern parts of the nation was relying on oil industry. So after the war, the oil industry declined, and so it degraded the water quality because of spilling several oil waste into water resources of the nearby area. Hence, even though in different states, the western and eastern parts of the country was really affected
Yeah, you have to wrap
by
up
the
within
internal
2 minutes, Shankar. So 2 minutes to wrap up.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So, sure. So in total, there are 8 of these case studies I have planned to show you. So I will wrap up as much as possible as I can. So the third one is Vietnam War. So we may think that Vietnam War was in the country of Vietnam itself, but it wasn't actually. The nearby nation of Laos was also affected. Almost 2 million tons of explosives were bombed by US in the period of 1964 to 73. This actually there was most of these explosives didn't work back then. So they are still there are several unexploded ordinances, like maybe bombs or something which have not exploded till now. Still they are present in the soils of Davos. So during cultivation and several activities, there are instances where they explode and which can harm, which can even cause human fatalities. Also, adding to that, there is heavy soil and water pollution made by these UXOs. So the next one is, okay, Russia. So we all are discussing about President Vladimir Putin right now, right? So along with several of his other policies, one of his main policy is expanding his economic, foreign and military policy towards the Arctic. So basically, uh, since there are several oil reserves in this Arctic area, Russia is expanding the regime to the Arctic northern boundaries also. And there are several military significances in this area also. Since the northwestern borders are under a threat from NATO, they are expanding military regimes to this Arctic. This actually, like several of us have discussed about melting of Arctic ice and like Antarctic ice and all those things, right? So in this Arctic ice, the Russia's, the expansions of Russia are causing really huge problems. So the next is a case of South Africa. So I am discussing you another thing, which is poaching. Till now I have talked to you about flora only, right? So this is fauna, which is also important. So here South Africa is home to most of the rhinos in the world. So as any other African nations, the political instability and chaotic social environment are creating, are making the lives of rhinos really difficult. Since the poverty is so common, people are poaching. Many of them are poaching rhinos and selling the parts to foreign countries and all. So uh, yeah, the next is the lungs of the world, as we call it, Amazon forest in Brazil. Amazon rainforest in Brazil is under huge pressure. Mainly, there are two reasons for this. For agriculture, like over ambitious agriculture and dairy sector of Brazil clears forest in order to expand cultivation. Also, due to the global warming scenario, which we all know, the forest fires are also taking place. This makes the flora and fauna, the life of flora and fauna in Amazon really difficult. So I think I am running out of time, so I will discuss two more cases quickly. That's China. Like, the reforestation policy of China has been really wonderful. Like for the past 20 years, they have spent almost $80 billion, and now like the forest cover cap of China, which was only 8.6 in 1949, is now almost 23.04% of the whole area of the country. Like 23% of whole area of China is under forest cover right now. Even though there were some
You can wrap it up. I'm not honestly understanding the nature of your group presentation at all. Now I'm getting a bit frustrated also with this group assignment. So, but I don't think we need this kind of information. So I think we can move into the last presentation. So it's not a group work for sure. So all of you are going to lose marks on that. It's not at all a group presentation. Not at all. So it's a bit frustrating, honestly. But anyway, what to do? So who is the last
Am I
presenter?
audible?
Yeah, you are.
I think my screen is visible.
Yeah, so just finish it off within the next 3-4 minutes.
Is my screen visible? I can.
Yes, it's visible. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Okay, I'm speaking. Hello to everyone. I am Sankalp. My contribution to this is on the declining habitat of polar bears due to global warming. So, initially, talk about the home of the polar bears, the Arctic. Unlike Antarctic, the Arctic ice was surrounded by land. It is surrounded by 8 countries like Canada, Finland, and Greenland, and many more countries. It is home to 4 million humans and over 1,000 different species. Polar bear, which is one of the major attractions of this region, this is home to 19 subpopulations of polar bears. Their main habitat is sea ice, where they hunt seals by waiting for them near the holes in the ice. Melting of sea ice would force them to leave their land, which would reduce their fasting, hibernation capability, reduce nursing of their cubs by mothers, and many worse effects. So, the main reason of declining polar bear's habitat is uh, global warming. The population has at, declined at a rate of 30%. It is predicted to decline from 25,000 to 18,000 by 2050 and might face extinction by the end of the century. Average Arctic temperature is around minus 30 degrees to 12 degrees Celsius, which is an increase from 3 degrees Celsius in 2010. The Arctic is warming as twice as the rest of the world. Ice has been melting at 30% rate. Every year, every decade, we are losing 30% of the Arctic ice. This brings to the question: how can we save Arctic? Uh, there have been plans of making sanctuaries in the Arctic area between 1991 and 2010. The amount of protected area has doubled from around 1.75 million square kilometer to 3.5 million square kilometer. It is currently comparable with the Meridian Sea. Within the sanctuary, activities like exploration, extraction, tourist prevention, military activity, etc., are prohibited. Knowing this is important, as what the polar bear faces today, humans could face the same thing due to global warming, and the only way to prevent switching to green energy. And that's all.
Yeah. Sankalp, I think that you don't need to read out the statistics now. You just show us, like, how have you prepared? Like, what are the illustrations that will be there, the exercises, all those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I which page is visible?
Huh? Yeah, I have
Ma'am,
lost
I
my
have
view.
prepared only three. I have prepared only 3 pages, and I think I am showing the third page at the moment.
Okay, so anything, any exercise, any test, any evaluation you have kept along with this the content?
No evaluation, no
No,
test. I have
no.
not kept.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. So then fine. So please conclude, because data we don't need. What is the use of this? This is a nature book. I don't think that most of you have got the essence of the nature of the assignment, because I think I showed you the nature book, right, which was prepared by my students of the previous batch, previous semester, I guess, last to last semester. So yes, did I show you that? Did I show that book to all of you in the class? A glance? Do you remember? Hmm? What about others? So
No,
why
ma'am.
are you
The last time I remember, I think you mentioned that you would
did
be
I show?
sharing
Because I'm not
with us
I'm not
once.
remembering.
No, ma'am. You said that you would be sharing the book with us once once we submit
Yeah,
the book, so
all
that we
right.
don't get
Yeah.
influenced by the other book.
Yes. Thanks, Sudarshan. Yes, I remember now. But anyway, yeah. So I think you can conclude. And is there any more presentation left, Priyanjit?
Ma'am, mine is left.
Yeah. So you like within a minute or so, because it was on Green Revolution again. I can understand, and like all the slides we saw that time also. So is there any assignment or test or something that you have prepared for the students?
Yes, ma'am. I have prepared an exercise that they have to write an essay about the staple crop in the native place, and they have to describe how it like its properties and stuff, and they have to observe how it is grown in different parts of India. So
Right.
how the environment is affecting it. So in that essence, they will understand the environmental, the concepts of environmental ecology, how the environment is affecting the crop growth in different parts. The climate is affecting it. Like the same crop, it is some states have a drier region, some have more water supply like that. So they will understand the basic concept of it, that how the crop which is mostly produced in one state, but it can be minorly produced in other states also, how
Right.
it will be affected. So they will understand that. So that is my
Very good.
exercise for them.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
And
Yes.
I have explained a bit on the social terms, like the social ecology, environmental ecology, how green revolution can be compared to that.
Right.
So since environmental ecology, since the pollution is happening along with there is regional disparities occurring, because some states like Punjab, UP, and Haryana, they're very beneficial from the revolution, but the other states like Jharkhand, they were not. So this is an example of environmental ecology, and since the
Yeah.
economic growth was also very visible in this period, so this can be also it can be shown that how nature is affected by the economical variables. So yeah, so I have explained a bit on that in my chapter.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Meghna. So Priyanjit is there? Priyanjit, are you there? Priyanjit Poddar?
Yes, ma'am.
Priyanjit?
Yes,
Huh?
ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So you have finished your presentation, did you?
Yes, ma'am. I've finished. My topic was on
I think I
anthropology.
missed it. I missed marking you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh.
just missed marking you. Yeah.
Ma'am, I shared that
All right.
presentation.
Ma'am, Harsh was the one presenting it because I was unable to
I
present
know.
that. And
Yes, yes, yes. Now I can remember well. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so this is done. So I'll share the nature book with all of you, but unfortunately, it's not available in my laptop and I'm traveling. I'll only be able to share the book with you on the 4th. So I'm extending the deadline. I don't need the book from you on the 4th. You can submit it next Monday. So I'm extending the deadline because I'll be able to send you the nature book on the 4th. Please give me a reminder, because as Amit and Shorodip are not here today. So anyone, if can I request any of you to just give me a reminder on the 3rd, who can take up?
Yes, ma'am, I'll remind you.
Yes. So just send me an email in my personal Gmail ID and ask me to share the nature book. So I'll share that book with all of you, and then you have to read. See, so the idea is that it should have been a group assignment. First of all, like when you said that we will not prepare it chronologically because so chronology does not only mean that years and dates, but chronology also means a certain pattern, a coherence, right? So the way you are actually organizing the book, which chapter or which content, which material will go first, followed by what. So these are all also crucial decisions when you are actually making a book. And this is a book for class 4 and class 5 students. So this is very, very important. It's a very important topic. So the thing is that how will you be able to make them understand some of the very crucial, ecological like challenges, and like how the students can themselves practice eco-friendly measures, and they can be more aware of the environment or what is going on around us, and the relationship between nature and society. So all these important components need to be crafting a very deep impact on their mind, right? So that was the idea. But unfortunately, what I found, no, so I'm not criticizing all the presentations or your efforts. Don't read or take me otherwise. But what I'm trying to say is that the book needed to be a bit coherent. Right. So where is the preface section? I expected that at least one of you will be actually narrating the preface section. What motivated you to do this book? Why should you, as a group, be doing the book? Because environmental studies is already there in school level, at school level. And unfortunately, the way environment is taught, that does not generate any interest on the students. Max to max, they come to know, we should not use plastics. And if we like, for example, we are traveling by aeroplanes, then it is not good because it generates ecological footprint. So we need to curtail down our ecological footprints and those kind of things. So vegan presentation also, that was good, but the thing is that there has to be a proper rationale. So that was also good. So there are lot of things that need to be considered together for the successful design and implementation of the book. So good infographics, good illustrations, interesting stories. So I think someone who presented on this these two kingdoms, Lion Kingdom and Wolf Kingdom, and the story of that river.
Yes, ma'am, it's me, Dhruv.
Dhruv. So I enjoyed Dhruv's presentation the most, honestly, because you have to think from the perspective of the students. So if you give this kind of data, and also like Meghna's presentation, honestly speaking, the initial part I did not find it very interesting. But when I asked her, what are the assignments that, did you plan any assignment? And then she explained, yes, she planned an assignment like that. That makes a lot of sense. Because, when the student will start thinking about the staple like crops and food in their own area, so they immediately get attached to the crop, to the landscape, to the soil, right? And they have to talk to their grandparents, they have to talk to their parents. So the immediate attachment is forged. So these kind of creative assignments can be given to the students. But when you're preparing book, all of you are so talented in the sense of the way handle like content, you come up with illustrations. So I was expecting that it will be extremely original, right? So this book will be one of its kind, where if I show it to a principal, the principal will immediately say, yes, I want to actually include this book in the syllabus. This will go as part of the curriculum. So that essence was missing. And also, like, how can a presentation, some presentations were like, few presentations were very good, but some of the presentations were absolutely not at par. So this is also extremely unexpected. It absolutely shows that you did not work it out as a group assignment. I know that you are having pressure. Of course, I know that, and all my sympathies, everything is with you for sure, right? So if it is like whether administration or students, I can tell it transparently. I'm always with the student for sure. No problem in that. And I can also understand the kind of problems that you are or you were going through since the last 2.5 weeks maybe. So, but now things are in much better shape. So I can understand. So that is okay. But then, like, for example, some of the presentations where you were only showing data, do you think the students will read this? Or even if they read this, they will read this by compulsion, as it happens for all the other textbooks, unfortunately. But now CBSE board, they are trying it, they are trying it out well. They are putting a lot of efforts. So if you see their books, of course, there's a lot of change. I can see between the kind of content that used to fit the pages 10 years back and the way content is like kind of structured these days. So you need to be creative. This is my key message. And the book needs to be worked out, part by part, bit by bit, segment by segment, and then the whole book, right? You're getting my point. What do you think? The way you presented, so these 11 presentations, and they look so haphazard to me. So someone presenting on green revolution, someone on water pollution, someone suddenly on political ecology, someone then suddenly 2-3 good stories. So I don't find any coherence. Right? You're getting my point. What I'm trying to say, all of you. Is it clear?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Your points make a lot of sense. While the thing is, like, many of us have a problem like stepping down to like a 4th or 5th grader level. So it becomes difficult to empathize. But
that is what.
Right. So the more we like work it out among them ourselves, we'll know.
Yes, you have to. And this is such an assignment, Sudarshan. This is such an assignment that you have to sit together.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. And what happens is in a group of 16, it actually becomes.
You cannot do it, and that was the purpose. Together. That is the reason why I gave this kind of an assignment. Yep. Yeah. So spend some time. I know, like, you are, of course, there are a lot of constraints, but still, be passionate with the theme, be passionate with the, subject or the theme mainly, this particular assignment, it will automatically be done and executed. Just be, just try to feel it, see it, and what kind of impact it can generate. Try to just, anticipate its potential, and it will be done. I'm telling you. I know that there will be pressure. All of us are under tremendous pressure. What to do? But we are executing things. So my suggestion would be is that if you start feeling passionate about it, if you are exhausted, you will not feel exhausted, because at least what you are doing, you're enjoying. You know why you are doing these things, and these things are going to make a lot of sense, not only for your career, but for everyone. And this is your also part of moral and social duty. So feel passionate like that, and come up with a very creative book assignment. All right. So I'll share the nature book with you on the 4th, and Harsh, please give me a reminder on the 3rd. And the next group, I think the age case studies, I'm supposed to listen to these age case studies on April 4th, and this will be on nature, culture, livelihoods, intersections. So the takeaway from today's assignment is that, of course, now you know that your assignments will be definitely at the individual level, but then you need to sit together, so that there is a lot of discussion about your own assignment, but at the same time, the essence of group assignment is not lost. So I need an introduction, I need a conclusion, I need to see it as an entire package. So same will be applicable for the next group assignment as well. So the nature of this group assignment again is very different from today's one, but I am sure that you now understand what are the expectations. There should not be one moment of boredom. If the class feels bored for even a minute, then your assignment is not successful. I'm telling this to you, honestly. So 30 minutes you're presenting, the entire group is presenting, for example, for 1 hour. But if people start feeling bored, they start leaving the meeting. So it's your fault, right? How can I tell students don't leave the meeting? Your attendance will be gone. I don't want to impose those kind of dictatorial norms. I know that students will only remain in class if I, kind of place interesting stuff. Otherwise, why should they waste their time? Everything is available in the internet these days, right? So there should not be one moment of boredom when you are actually making the presentation, right? Right. So these are some of the tips for the next group presenters. So be prepared, work it out, be innovative. I just want you to be innovative and creative as much as possible. There is no dearth of data, but the way how you are, structuring the data, how you have internalized the whole thing, and now how you are disseminating it, right? So that is something which I want to, see coming out from your group assignments, right? So I'll meet you all on Monday, and this I'm extending the submission of the book from April 4th to next Monday. So when is next Monday? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. April 11, right? Okay, all of you.
Okay,
yeah. All of you. Thank you very much. So don't take my, these scoldings personally, but I am saying all these things because I expect a lot from you. I know that it's possible. And if I can see a possibility, if I can spot a possibility somewhere, I will definitely, try to see that possibility gets transformed into, reality. So that is why I'm saying all these things to all of you. All right, so possible to take all this, to incorporate all these suggestions and come up with a fascinating book. Will you try, all of you together?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then. See you all on Monday. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.